morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Expert Insight series. We are very, very happy today to be talking, we're talking about a topic that is an absolute necessary when it comes to looking at emigrating or looking at your journey to Mauritius. So we often discuss property, lifestyle, and all of these sort of more glamorous sides of the journey. But what we sometimes neglect is the very practical sides of the journey. And one of these practical approaches is, what do I do when it comes to the insurance of my property, of my items, of my family? How do I tackle that? How do I tackle that journey as I come across from South Africa, arriving in Mauritius? We get many, many questions about medical aids. What should I take on a medical aid? What does the transition look like? Of course, wealth management, property finance, etc. These are very, very important topics. And so we have ring-fenced these topics, and we're bringing them to you today over the next 45 minutes. A little bit of housekeeping. As you know, that there is a chat box on the bottom of our screen. You can ask your questions there, or you can send your questions across to us. We are also recording this webinar, so it'll be available to you in a recorded format, and it will be distributed through across all our channels so that you can access this vital information when it comes to your journey to Mauritius. So let us introduce our panel today. So when researching who in Mauritius could facilitate a South African's journey, we came across, or we immediately came to mind, was a business by the name of Swan. So Swan has a very, very strong foothold in the Mauritius market. They have a team of experts that are here with us today and are going to discuss some of their products and services. And they also understand the South African context. So when it comes to the wealth management side and tax and the implications that go with that, they work with South African consultants as well, so that they do understand the landscape within our country and obviously the landscape of the country that you're looking to move to. So we are happy today to we're covering three categories. Maryjane, perhaps maybe you could introduce yourself, as you're going to be speaking about the general insurance offering.
Thank you, Louise. Good morning to all of you watching us from South Africa. Thank you for inviting us to this webinar today. It is such a great opportunity to present Swan. I'm Maryjane Velin from Swan General, and I'm going to speak mainly on the short-term products. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to hear a little more from Maryjane just now. Leila, if you would mind just introducing yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leila. I am the Business Development Manager of the cluster Swan Capital Markets. So it's the non-insurance cluster of Swan Group.
Fantastic. And I think everybody asked that questions, do I start immigrating my funds before I start immigrating my family? And what does that landscape look like? And we'll hear more about that. Luveena, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Happy to join this webinar with all of you. I'm Luveena Dookheea from the Loans Department of Swan Life. So basically, I'm an expert in the credit financing for individual loans.
Thank you so much, Luveena. Perfect. So let us, Clem, if you could pop on that first presentation. So let's start off with insurance, general insurance. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to run through the three aspects, and then at the end of the presentations, we're going to start tackling some of the questions that have been sent to us by the audience. And thank you very much to everyone that has sent your questions through. Thank you very much, Clem. Over to you, Maryjane.
Thank you very much. Swan has been in business for over 160 years and has started very simply as a Mauritius fire insurance company, and has grown up over the year, maturing into the leading financial services providers in the country. Our clients are from different sectors of our society: the individual owners, SMEs, multinational corporates, and different investors. Our products and services are designed to ensure that our customers ensure full financial security at every stage of their life, wherever they are. We are focused on our vision to be preferred financial solution partner for life, and we are driven by our mission to partner with our customers to help them secure a better future. Our values, our core values are passion, people, and performance. We are Swan. Next slide, please. I won't take long on that slide, but it's just to show our history in the early years, 1854, when we created the Mauritius Fire Insurance Company, to the expansion of the group, the development, and the new era from 1990 to 2015, where we had the rebranding of Swan. Next slide, please. As we change the face of our business, our commitment to our customers remain the same. We work with you and for life. Our vision. Over the years, Swan has positioned itself as this trusted insurance brand in Mauritius. We have the technical expertise to be the leader in a highly technical market. And we have also been innovators, first to be underwriters in the medical and group and personal pension, first to introduce internet, first to introduce unit-linked products, first to introduce bank assurance. We are focused on our client servicing, paying claims, and offering clients the service they need. We have 4 major pillars at Swan: the protect pillar, provide, progress, and prosper. Our philosophy. We place one very important thing at the center of everything we do. We place people. And we believe that every person that buys our product or accesses our service should have the tool to achieve financial freedom. Freedom to live, work, and play safe in the knowledge that they have everything they need. We are governed by our 4 principles. Again, protect, provide, progress, prosper. This is known as our pyramid of prosperity. As we said previously, in 2015, we completed the process of transformation, because every business needs to evolve, and Swan is no different. We have shaped our business to meet the needs of today's lifestyle. So in 2015, this process has been transformed, and we have brought under a single Swan, a single brand, unifying them for a common purpose. Our product and services have been integrated to protect business to protect the businesses and loved ones, and also to provide foundation for their prosperous futures. We are making progress. We have created a new structure, adopted a new corporate and their identity, and embrace new behaviors as we interact with our clients, and we live our passion and pledge to deliver winning performance. We are Swan. Under the protect, we will find the assets. It's all the assets for the life, home, boats, car, travel, health, property, liability, financial line. Under the pillar provide, we will provide what's needed in the long term: education plans, pensions, and retirement plans. Under the pillar progress, it is what we need to make the next step: housing and multi-purpose loans. Under the prosper, we will find the creating and managing wealth, securities trading, and investment management. And the Swan, we have 7 main divisions, and each one has got a special mandate. And Swan General Limited specializes in short-term general insurance. Swan Life specializes in long-term insurance. Swan Pensions set up and administers pension funds. Swan Wealth Managers specializes in wealth management, advisory services, and CIS management. Swan Securities is an investment dealer for trading securities. Swan Reinsurance PCC offers alternative risk transfer solution through a protected sales structure. Swan Special Risk Company manages the special risk portfolio. We are present across Mauritius through 5 Swan shops. And while Mauritius is our own, we have also a presence across the region. We employ more than 700 staff, and our CSR, our corporate social responsibility program, is managed by the Swan Foundation and focuses on education, training, environment, health, leisure, sports and socio-economic development. What are our insurance solutions, our products? Many of you leaving South Africa to come to Mauritius are mainly interested with our health insurance. And our health insurance is separated in we've got three parts: the inpatient, the catastrophe cover, and the outpatient. The outpatient is not a compulsory cover. Our Protect Health Insurance is a health insurance package designed to look after you for the moment you need it. You choose the type of cover you need to ensure you're covered every step of the way. Basically, for a family leaving South Africa to come to Mauritius, we will gather the date of birth to have a single premium and the family cover. And we can give you a quote, and you will have to choose if you want to be insured under the inpatient, catastrophe, and the outpatient, or only the inpatient and catastrophe. We offer catastrophe cover. The catastrophe cover is just a name, being a bigger inpatient cover. It's inpatient, but with higher limits. And we can go up to 5 million rupees and maybe more upon request. The striking features of some of our health insurance: you can benefit from a cashless service at some of our approved optician partners. This is obviously under the outpatient cover. You can benefit from an exclusive access to the U Lounge when traveling abroad for treatment. I will be explaining the U Lounge as a separate slide later. And the third feature also, you can benefit from a 24-hour 7-to-7 medical consultation at home or at your workplace and pay only the excess during your consultation. This is also an add-on. This is a new progress at Swan under our health insurance that you will see later on a different slide. Obviously, we also have car insurance, with the other slide giving some more details for our Protect Car Insurance. The Protect Car Insurance is quite straightforward. Will keep you protected when you are in an accident or you have been stolen or broken into, and you can choose the plan that suits best your needs, providing cover that suits your lifestyle. Even if you are at fault for an accident, you are still covered. No excesses applicable during the first year of insurance. And for the first accident, even your passengers are protected in the event of an accident. And we replace your car with the same model. This is the loss of use in the event of the total loss. The two features that are named are applicable to vehicles registered in 2021. Another aspect of people leaving South Africa when they come to Mauritius, they want to know about their assets, liability, the domestic servant, and they often ask questions about the home insurance. On the next slide, please. Our home insurance consists of 13 sections. These sections start with the building if you want to buy property in Mauritius, or if you don't buy property, you want to rent, you will have your personal liability, which will include your tenant's liability, your liability as a tenant toward your landlord. And this will be combined under your home-related insurance under one policy. Your personal liability cover is included, and your employer's liability cover is for people working with you at home. We also include, you've got sports equipment, you've got for golfers, all-in-one cover, you've got credit card, you've got sports equipment, jewelry, you've got a personal accident cover. This is you to choose. We offer you a package, and you pick up the cover that you want, so that we make a bundle for you as a personalized cover under your home insurance. This may seem a dream for some of you, but maybe coming to Mauritius, you will be able to buy a boat and to have your dream fulfilled. With our Protect Boat Insurance, you have a complete peace of mind, both on and off the water. We will cover your boat equipment, accessories, fishing gear, and engine against loss and damage. The third-party liability protection is included, and very, very important part, the road transport is also covered. Now we will tackle a very, very interesting part of the innovations at Swan. We have been moving on an ongoing digital transformation since 2018. The aim was to satisfy the needs of our customers in a constant growing digital era. We will now go through our latest innovations, which are added values to our health and our car products. But the MySwan app is the only, Swan is the only company in Mauritius to develop at an early stage an application where you can claim your health insurance and you renew your car insurance. I will invite you to discover the application once you are a client of Swan, just for you to get a grasp of a seamless process of making your claim online. We can now have a little video showing you that. The on-site healthcare, this is another added value of our health insurance with our partner for on-site healthcare. Being a Swan client, you can benefit from basic medical assistance. Doctors are just a call away from you. I was talking of the U-Lounge previously. The U-Lounge is our new Lounge partnership. You will see that Swan offers comprehensive medical insurance for the unexpected times. So now we have, sorry, please can we go to the previous slide? I'm sorry, I just wanted to explain something on the U-Lounge. The U-Lounge is a lounge that is near the airport. If your treatment cannot be done to Mauritius and you need to leave to go to do your treatment or your surgery abroad, the lounge will help you to be it's a rapid service. You see, you can benefit from that under our health insurance. The Swan Safe Drive, we were the first to recently launch Safe Drive. It's a telematic device used worldwide to improve driver skills. With Safe Drive, Swan offers also a reward scheme onboarding, and one service is the assistance, where in the case of an accident, there will be a notification and you will get an assistance for towing services and replacement car. You will see that on the next slide. Very important to know that our insurance entities, Swan General Limited and Swan Life, both have national ratings of AA, very high claims paying ability and very high credit quality from global credit rating company. I will be wrapping up my presentation with a short video showcasing the 4 pillars of Swan on the next video, on the next slide.
For them, for life.
Meet our team. On the last slide, you will have our contact details. I am Maryjane Velin from the west side of the island, and Antoine is working for the North in the branch of the North. You've got our emails and our phone number. Please do not hesitate to send us an email for any question. We will be very happy to assist you. I will leave the floor now to Leila, my colleague Leila, for the capital investment.
Thank you, Maryjane. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Leila, Business Development Manager of the cluster Swan Capital Markets. The Swan Capital Markets cluster offer investment and financing solutions to individuals and corporate clients. In the following slides, I will present the services offered by the different units, but our main service at Swan Capital Markets is to combine all these services to create a tailor-made financial solution for each client. Swan Capital Markets is the non-insurance cluster of Swan Group that includes Swan Wealth Managers, Swan Securities, the loan department of Swan Life, Swan Global Funds, and Swan Corporate Advisors. So we will start with Swan Wealth Managers, which is an independent asset manager with more than $1.5 billion under manager. And we offer free services with our license. So the investment services, it include investment management, investment advisory, and distribution of financial instruments. We have free licenses with the FSC, the local regulator, and we have access to many of international funds. Our main partners are BlackRock and Schroders, and we use the biggest custodian platform, Euroclear. In-house, we manage free funds and international bond funds that offer a secure investment with regular income, and 2 international equity funds in developed and emerging markets. In these free funds, you can invest in different currencies. We have Swan Securities, which is the stockbroking company that offer transaction on local and international stock markets. This is all the services that Swan Securities is offering, but the main services is a transaction of stock markets. And finally, the financing solutions are offered by the loan department, and Luveena will present the main feature. Luveena, please.
Yes, thank you, Leila. Hi again, everyone. So I'm happy to say that at Swan, we also finance for credit facilities, financing solutions. Like many of us do not know that the insurance sector do also provide credit facilities. Our main credit facilities is the home loan. Home loan is basically for if you want to purchase, you're relocating in Mauritius and you want to purchase a residential property according to the local Economic Development Board regulations. And if you are eligible, you want to buy a home here. So we can finance up to 70% of the cost of the project, up to a maximum of 15 years. And the rate of interest is on a floating rate as from 3.75% per annum. So we take the security on the property that is being financed, and other conditions, you need to provide a life insurance cover and a building insurance cover to secure the building. Or you might take a home insurance as well, like Maryjane mentioned earlier in her presentation. So basically, what's more important is on the next slide. I will be talking about the investment solutions loan. This is very important. This is we can provide loans on your investments, various investments. So if you are planning to invest in Swan Capital Markets, the Swan Global Funds, Leila has talk about various products, the three products on Swan Global Funds, the equity fund, the income fund, and the emerging market fund. So if a client wants to invest in those funds, we can take those funds as collateral. So no need to give a fixed charge. So we can take a part of this as collateral. Let me define it more properly. So when you invest, if you want to buy a home in Mauritius, you don't need to spend you use your cash flow. So what's interesting, you invest your cash in the various global funds. So in that way, you grow your income, you have a dividend, you have a capital growth, and then you can take a part of that funds to take a loan. So it might happen that you are paying less interest on the loans and you're having more income on the global funds. But it depends, of course, on the yield, depending on the market conditions, etc. So the term of the loan is 10 years. And again, the financing amount is based on the type of investment. And it's as from 3.75% per annum. And that's it from us. So from me, I would like to take any question that you may have. Glad to reply you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. That's wonderful. I think, the first question and most important one is, when a South Africa arrives in Mauritius for the first time and they're looking to emigrate, the general pathway, and I'm not saying everyone, but one of the pathways that they generally take is they arrive and they move into a rental property as they discover the island and select the unit that they want to stay in. In this case, upon arrival in South Africa, what does the Mauritian government or the Mauritian protocol requires? What insurance should a South African have in place at that point?
There is no requirement as such as in South Africa. You need to be protected as a tenant regarding your landlord, but there's no obligation to that unless it is a requirement in your contract, your rental contract. So you will need to see when you sign your contract to see if there's a requirement regarding the limit of the insurance you need. But the tenant's liability forms part of a personal liability cover, which is included under Section 9 of our home insurance.
So in your experience, if I think about my own personal case in point, I'm here in South Africa. I have my insurance in place around my property, my vehicle, my medical aid, etc., my animals, etc. I will then keep the current policies that I have in place in transit, and then I arrive in Mauritius. At that point, what do you recommend for that transitional process? So, I know, is there a recommendation to manage the transitional process?
There's no specific recommendation, but with the shipping costs that have increased considerably lately, you must be careful when you take your insurance in South Africa and see if there's a clause penalizing you if you use, because normally it's from, whereas it depends on your marine insurance, but you should be covered from warehouse to the place of your rented location. You can have that instead of having the cut off so that you are not penalized by increased costs. But we can also have a cover taking place immediately when you land in Mauritius from that warehouse to your place of rented location.
So yeah, because normally if my items arrive and they are then offloaded into a warehouse at the Mauritius Port St. Louis, and then they are transported by what's probably a company that does, transport. And then I just make sure I'm covered whilst I'm in transport. And then I arrive at my property and I need my potentially a liability insurance in place there for the rental owner. Another big question that gets asked to us, a very important question, is medical. Well, let's just stay on insurance for 1 second. Sorry, I apologize. My vehicle. So there's always a debate about whether or not I should bring my vehicle across from South Africa, whether the costs of purchasing a vehicle in Mauritius makes more sense, but sell my vehicle in South Africa and purchase a new one in Mauritius. But should I decide to move my vehicle across to Mauritius, the policies that I have then with my South African vehicle insurance will then come to a close upon arriving in Mauritius. Would you suggest then that I start up my vehicle insurance prior to leaving Mauritius or only on arrival?
I think it would be better to be covered when you arrive in Mauritius. It's much better. But you can contact us to ask us just to let us know what type of vehicle you have and just to make sure that it is in your budget that you have planned. But it's very easy. This is very straightforward questions and very straightforward covers to put in place.
Okay. So then we'll move to medical aid, because that is obviously a big one. So in South Africa, we a lot of folks have private medical aid. It gives us access to a different quality of hospital and different quality of service. Now, I've heard so many different takes on the Mauritian sort of general healthcare, so your public hospitals. Do you feel that having medical cover in Mauritius is important? And what is there a private sector hospital that gives you access to? Or tell me a little bit about that coverage.
You've got public hospitals that are free. That's true, but there's long waiting list for certain specific surgical operations, and you wouldn't take the risk, even if it's free, to have complicated surgical operations to be done in the public hospital. I wouldn't recommend. Even if certain sectors of the public hospitals are very good, like the burning unit or the cardiac unit, very, very, very good. But even though the waiting lists are very, very long, so it would be much better to be prepared to have a private medical insurance in place.
Okay, and so again, this then comes to the transitional process of getting onto a private medical insurance. And bearing in mind that a number of the folks that are looking to emigrate are slightly older, so they would have pre-existing medical conditions. How does that, and there's normally a bit of a window where you move from one medical insurance to another and you're not quite covered. And so what is your recommendation on that process?
I wouldn't like to go into, because every case is a single case, but pre-existing conditions, we would not normally cover pre-existing conditions in general. There is a proposal form. We will take the medical history of the client to see what's the past history and analyze it in our technical team. And the transition is quite easy, because having underwrite your case on a proposal form and the medical history, we are prepared to take over or not to take over certain things with the consent of the clients, you see. Because when leaving South Africa and coming to Mauritius is a very great move, important move. And from my experience lately, it has been quite easy to accept that pre-existing conditions weren't covered in certain cases, or accepted at higher premiums or loadings on premiums or with certain waiting periods. There has been no problems on that side.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that the folks with pre-existing conditions are, they're aware of some of the challenges around medical aid. Often it's said that you keep your South African medical aid when you first move across, and that gives you, in some policies, gives you around 6 months of play in Mauritius whilst you're still covered, yes, and then transition across to a new medical aid.
Depends. From my experience, people have kept their South African cover up to a certain month until they get used to the clinic and see what kind of medical cover is offered here, and they are happy to switch on the SWAN medical insurance very easily.
Perfect. So I think that it seems like, based on your presentation and the applications that have been developed, it's a one-stop shops in a way. So you can access the different facilities you need. So it's a matter of just maybe contacting us and then giving us a kind of a view on what your history is and what you require. I just to touch on one thing, and this comes more from a cost perspective, and I know that we're not talking costs here, but in South Africa, we live in a very high crime area. We are covered, well, some people are covered, throughout the day. Our technical equipment are covered in all risk policies, in our general home insurance. We've also got a lot of stipulations in our home insurance. You need to have bars on your windows, sufficient coverage. The items can't be on display in the house at the time of the robbery. I mean, there's various wording in the policy wording. There's various requirements. How do you look upon that? I mean, we see Mauritius as being a safe haven to a certain extent. Do you still have some stringent policy wording when it comes to security-based insurance, home insurance?
It is not as strict as in South Africa, I must admit. We do have certain questions regarding security, like burglar bars and basic questions, but it doesn't impact on the cover or the premium as in South Africa, not at all. It is just a way to analyze and underwrite from a straight point of view the risk in a global view. I mean, you have questions and answers which are answered straightforward, and we can analyze the risk. But it doesn't have that impact, because of the rate of criminality in South Africa, which is absolutely not the same in Mauritius.
So could one look forward to a slight savings in your medical expenses if you're using Swan services?
Well, I think that what I have got as experience from my clients coming from South Africa is that it is cheaper to get insured in Mauritius. Definitely on the home insurance. Home insurance is very cheap. Tenants liability, very cheap. And even medical insurance is quite cheaper than in South Africa.
Oh, that's some great news for many of us that are spending quite a fair amount. That's very good news. So let us move on to onto the other services that Swan, and I have a few additional questions. So Leila, we were talking earlier about the capital markets and the loans, etc. So I noticed there that the cutoff for a home loan was 60 years. So obviously I'm not accepting individuals over the age of 60. Is that correct?
Yeah, can I reply this one?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
It's for the home loan, yes, but for the investment back loan, the other loan. So if the money is invested in the Swan Global Funds, the free funds, then we can look onto a case-to-case basis, because the collateral is more liquid, we will say, on the Swan Global Funds.
So if we just stick to the home loans, as a South African, I've moved across to Mauritius. I'm renting a unit. I've got my insurance in place. Now I'm exploring my different options when it comes to accessing accessing funding. So I'm going to use I'm in my late 40s. So I've sold my property in South Africa and I'm looking to purchase a unit. Can I only approach property developers or developments where Swan has an existing relationship with, or is the whole market open to me as long as I, as a foreigner, can invest there?
I think the whole market is open. We have quite few real estate agents, like Pam Golding, Barnes, etc., very well known internationally. So I think it's better for the South of the local SA to contact those real estate agents, and they are very well. I want us to talk on. They are specific on their requirements, but I think they are quite good you have Palm Golding. So
yeah. And do you offer financing on both an existing structure, something that's already built, and then in off-plan developments?
Off-plan, it depends. So we finance on already building already erected. Off-plan, it depends on the promoter. So that's a bit more complicated, but it's possible because we have many, for the time being, many off-plan financing, but it depends if there's a guarantee from the bank that in case the promoter cannot complete the project, so the client is safe because there's a guarantee that the project will be terminated. I mean, completed, yeah. Because we need to ensure that we have a building, we have the security on the home that we are financing.
Okay, so then you also mentioned, and I was very interested in your investment solution product. So what you're suggesting is that I sell my property in South Africa. Instead, I then move that money into a investment solution product with Leila. We find a product that's suitable. We leverage, we keep the finance sitting in that product. And then now I want to purchase a property. So I need to put that 30% down. Am I loaning against my investment for that 30% deposit? Is that what you're suggesting?
Let me give you an example. If you're taking, let's say, 1 million South African rands, so you will have 70% of that amount. So if you invest this money in Swan Global Funds, you have 70% of this amount, up to 70%. It depends on which funds. So let me, it depends, on the Swan Income Fund, for example, it's up to 70%. You put the 10 million on the investment fund, and then let's say if we are giving 70% of that amount, so it will be 7 million that you're taking as a loan, and the 10 million will be on the funds. You will have your dividend, your capital gains, etc.
We were speaking earlier about the various loans that you had in place, and I wanted to ask you a question about retirement. So if I have my retirement equity, my retirement is set up in South Africa, and all my various retirement policies are set up in South Africa, and I now want to move across to Mauritius. Can I move those policies across to Swan and to be managed by Swan? Or how does that look? Because we have many South Africans who have their retirement set up, or do they need to exit their retirement policies completely out of and cash them in, for the lack of a better term, in South Africa? Or how do you manage those policies from a fund investment perspective?
You know, we have different choices. A client can choose to keep here a retirement plan until maturity in South Africa, or just cash in. And maybe when he's in Mauritius, or before to come to Mauritius, he can start this process before he came here to invest his capital in investment funds, existing investment funds, or something that we can create for him, depending on his profile, his age, what he wants, how many income he needs per year. So it's something really based on his requirements.
So if I am moving across to Mauritius on a retirement visa, and I have that 18,000 annual USD amount. If I do move my funds across to Swan, will Swan then manage the kind of paperwork side of it? So the proof that I've got 18,000 USD available, or do I need to keep my funds in South Africa and deposit 18,000 into my account in Mauritius on an annual basis?
No, we can, when we will invest when we will take this money and we invest for the client, he can use all this proof of investment that the money is in Mauritius, but I really don't know if it will be enough for the authorities. This I can pronounce myself. So we have to check with all the requirement from the government on this. Yes.
Okay. Which would Swan in general manage that process of making sure that I'm ticking the boxes for my visa application? Because sometimes I could be doing an investment visa where I'm investing a certain amount in the country. Could you assist in the financial sides of that?
We are not providing this type of services, but we work with a lot of partners, so we can assist the clients with all these partners to help him to finish all this administrative requirement and this. And yes, we can assist.
Thank you very much. Well, that 45 minutes has flown past, and I really hope that we've managed to touch on those key areas. Setting up your insurance, how to move across, which medical aid to now explore as an option for you and your family. Don't let that one slide, folks. It's very important. And then, of course, how you're going to wrap your investment, looking at moving across your retirement income, and then, of course, a very sort of profitable way of relooking at the way in which you loan money instead of a more traditional way that we perhaps are more used to here in South Africa. Thank you very much. This webinar is recorded. We will be sharing all the details of our panelists, and we'll be able to contact and ask more questions, as I'm sure there are many, many more questions that are more technical questions. Maybe it's worth setting up a meeting with the ladies and then really unpacking your personal case. And part of that journey to Mauritius and your journey to Mauritius is setting up these structures maybe sooner than when you arrive, and you've got other challenges that you need to deal with. Thank you very much. And Clem, could you play that video, please?